Okay, so last night I started reading Confessions by Kanae Minato. And this is a book that I was not expecting it to be this gripping to me, okay? Because, first of all, I just know that this woman is off to get revenge for the death of her child. And the murderer is one of her students, like, as can be seen in this, like, yeah, and okay, and then I read 20% of the book last night, like right before I sleep. Well, I was gonna sleep, and then I read the first 20% of the book, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. Like the narrative style is getting to me. It's not straightforward. I mean, it's not overwritten in a way that it keeps me on my toes, but also it gives me clues as to what was going on. Like, and everything that this character is saying, okay, it has already happened. Like, she is recounting how her daughter died and how she suspected the murder, and who is the murderer and how it happened. Like, she's recounting this, and there's a sense of like creepiness that really just is. And the resolution towards the end, like, I cannot believe you did that. Like, that is worse than going to jail. Yeah, it's a different kind of sentencing, you know? She could have, she could have went to the police with this information, but she took it into her own hands. And no, the murderers are not dead. But it's just okay, chapter 2, I'm currently reading it, and it is in a different perspective. So we sort of like jumped out of the premise that I know about this book. So now I have no idea where it's gonna go. But it is a student talking to the teacher from chapter 1. Yeah, so that's where I am at right now. Okay, so I just finished chapter 2 of Confessions last night, and I headed over to chapter 3 as well. What did I glean from chapter 2? Well, first of all, I think that the thing with the milk cartons that happened in chapter 1, it's not really true. I mean, okay, there's no confirmation on this yet, but I don't think the teacher really did that with the milk. Now, that means that the consequences of her saying this to one of the murderers, one of the students in particular, was so devastating. Like, as I glean from chapter 3, like you can see that it has taken a toll on this one student murderer. But like, this book is so good because, first of all, you feel so angry at the murderers because, like, how could they do this? Second of all, you see other people judging these kids. These are 13-year-olds, by the way. So you see their other classmates judging them, ignoring them, or bullying them in a way. And it's like they're using what they've done, which is a terrible thing, obviously, but using that to hurt them and harass them. And I sort of started feeling bad for the two murderers. Well, specifically the one of them, because one was at home, right? And I'm like, there was a quote in here about people forgetting that we actually do not have any right to judge other people. Okay. So now the chapter 2 is in the perspective of a student who is writing to the teacher about, like, what was the aftermath of the consequences, or what the teacher did in chapter 1. And actually, I remember reading in Scythe that the threat of, I mean, you don't have to carry out the threat for it to be effective. And in this case, I think she's saying that she has put the blood in the milk cartons, but actually she didn't. And she just used this to scare these kids so that they'd be thinking that they drank something. Yeah. So that's chapter 2. Chapter 3 is quite interesting because I am reading the diary entries of the mother of the kid who was staying. Oh yeah, chapter 2. What the heck? Something terrible happened. And you know what? It sort of was like I sort of saw it coming. Oh, but you know this dark prose in this book is like you don't even. Okay, I think I expected it from my from hindsight. I thought I saw it coming, but then when I was reading it, the previous paragraph is something else, and then suddenly this one-liner hits you, and it's so effective. It doesn't feel cheap, unlike this other book that I'm currently reading, which I feel like I will be definitely DNFing. Water, okay, yeah. So that is my current thoughts. Very interested in chapter 3. Okay, chapter 3 is in the perspective of the sister of one of the murderers, and she found the diaries, and hence this is why we are able to glean what the mother was thinking. And you know, I love myself people who write in diaries. I love reading about that. So yeah, I'm currently not done with chapter 3 yet, but I think there are like 7 or 8 chapters in this book, and so far everything has been so gripping, and I think I might be giving this 5 stars. Just saying. Hello, so I have finally finished reading Confessions last night. And, okay, you know what I love about this? It is horrific, okay? It is like a horror book, but this is the best kind of horror, wherein you are reading this book expecting to be scared of the contents of the book. But what happens is you end up being scared at yourself. Scared of yourself, yes. Because everything that she has been saying in her statements in this book, it's like you, the reader, or at least I was proving it right. Okay, anyway, what I really want to talk about, or my main point, is this book is making you judge these characters based off of other people's perspectives. So this other person is telling you the story, and then you make a judgment on that person that the story is about, right? You make a judgment about that person, you think, like, what kind of person does that, right? And then later on, you are thrown into a different perspective, wherein you see that same situation in a different light, and then you realize that you were wrong all along, or at least I was. This was going in multiple directions. It's sort of going back and forth on what it's saying, but it was just my, what do you call it? Not opinion. It was just my perception of things. Like, I thought it was going back and forth, but actually there was just one cohesive storyline, and I was just tricking myself based on how my brain was filling out information. And there were parts where I was like, ha, I knew it. And then later on I realized, yeah, I knew it. But it's a satisfying feeling. Not that I knew it, like, whatever, this story is so predictable. Not in that way. It's like a very satisfying, I knew it. But even when I was wrong, I was still happy that I was wrong. This has a lot of, like, views of, like, what motherhood. Okay, so obviously the main character is a mother, and we also view the mothers of the 2 murderers, right? And the different kind of mothering that goes on. I mean, it's very subtle. It's not explicitly, being mentioned like this kind of mothers, that. But there are a lot of commentaries in this book, I swear. It is just so good. I have, like, if I could just go over all the annotations I had, it's incredible. Okay, this book is great. I have never read anything like this, ever, in my life. And this is such a good, a lot of criticism on this book is how people did not like the multiple perspectives of the same event. Okay, and I know, I hate that too. The book that comes to mind is The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. I hated how there's this event, and then it was just the same event told in different perspectives. But the difference is, the perspectives in this book, it adds information to the event. As opposed to what happened in The Kind Worth Killing. It's just, it's just the same thing. This same character literally recounted the same story, just in a different perspective. But I don't get any added value. But this one. And I cannot believe that Kanae has written this book in between doing household chores. So there's literally no excuse to not write a book, especially if it's like brewing in your mind. Though I have to admit, I've always wanted to write a book. And I know Dee from the book blog has written works, which I gotta coax her to send them to me. And it's just amazing, writers. This is definitely the opposite of lazy writing. This is the opposite of lazy plot writing. The twists aren't even that big. Like, you could tell it's the execution. Okay, it's the execution. Does this woman have other books? Because I am obsessed with her. Okay, I am obsessed. Okay, so yeah, I'm just looking over quickly the annotations. Oh yeah, what I love about the Kobo Libra color is like you can see all the annotations in one go, like even the markups. Oh look, for example, I wrote this one thing here. What did I write? And then it takes you to the page where you wrote that thing. Oh, I wrote he has spiraled, because really, the insight that you get from these characters. I love that it's not too many characters as well. Like, you could really get to know these characters. I can't rave enough about this book. There's just something about Japanese literature. I don't know if it's the way that it's translated, but also if this is how... There's a trend. I mean, there's a pattern. Or you can tell that something is written by a Japanese author. There's just something about it. It's like, it's not trying too hard, but it's hard-hitting. Like, how does that work? I mean, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I have a special place in my heart for Japanese authors, Japanese people. I had Japanese students before. They are so sweet. They're trying to learn English, and I learn a lot about them. Yeah. Anyway, I love this book. It's such a short book as well. Definitely you can read this in one sitting if you have like a whole afternoon. So this book is so good. Like, I'm not even gonna... If I see a physical copy of this book in Fully Booked or wherever, I'm definitely gonna get a copy. Okay? Yeah. So, that is all for my reading book review. I am also reading another Japanese book. I'm in that Japanese lit fic mood. So, that's all. Bye.